that comment. We have a work session on Thursday. I think we'll need to discuss it possibly at our work session, and then we'll kind of get back to you, because we do have a policy, not firm hard, but we do have a policy that when there are funds left over from a project, we turn those funds back in to pay the debt service down. So we'd have to kind of work through that first before we get there, and then we need to finalize where we are in terms of the Y project, whether the Y would even say yes. So let us get a few answers. We'll get those as quickly as possible, and then we'll get back to you.
Understood, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bruce, did you have a timetable? I mean, you want to come down here, you're not going to come down here in the summer. You want to be here in September at the latest?
Well, I suppose it depends on what would have to occur with the Y and the architect and the contractor and all that. Our goal, like I stated earlier, long-term, someday, we want to have a big campus here because we believe that the county is really going to grow. But we've got to start somewhere. We've got to take baby steps, and we're willing to take whatever baby steps are necessary. This is a good opportunity for a baby step.
There's apparently no time frame. Okay. So there's no compelling event that you have to do. Okay.
I think that, Bruce, Mr. Davis, Mr. Chairman, if I can maybe help here, is the fact that you're wanting to know as soon as possible so that the building can be built, or the addition can be built as the Y is being built, being put up. And so you're wanting to have an answer so that you can get started and get with...
We'll discuss it Thursday at our work session.
Right.
So what I'm saying is he was asking the time, and I think the response is as soon as he can get an answer.
We'll discuss it Thursday at our work session. We can go from there.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, I'm going to take a step back. We offer a public comment session. This particular agenda item is to allow any person who would like to speak regarding any matter in the county. That's actually not a public hearing. So we are having a budget public hearing, and we're having a rezoning, and we're probably going to skip these ordinances for a while. But if you would like to speak regarding any matter that's not a public hearing, please feel free to do so. So at this point in time, you can approach the podium, state your name, your voting district. This is not the budget public hearing. So if you want to speak about anything that's different than the budget, please do so. Mr. Williams, how you doing today?
That's fine. Good evening, Mr. Thomas, fellow board members. I came to y'all some time back, and I asked for some money to help support the fire department get back on their feet, and which y'all did, and everything came with fine. We're back on their feet. But I have some other questions concerning that we're having a hard time getting volunteers, and I know it's not looking good. And I see in I think it's 2018, there's going to be a possibility of a new fire station coming to Carmel Church. Okay, another one possible 2019 come to Sparta. If we don't have the volunteers, is that going to mean that we're going to have to staff Carmel Church with all paid people? And is the county plan on getting the grants for anywhere, or the taxpayers will have to pick up all the slack on the two new buildings?
Well, we're going to work on those. We don't know the answers just yet.
Okay. But thank y'all for what y'all did when we needed help. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding any matter that's not a public hearing today? Earl, good to see you.
Good evening, Chairman Thomas. As I said earlier to some of your staff colleagues, I came
Earl, just for the record, say your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Earl Sharp, and I reside in the Mattaponi District. I come here tonight as president of the Ladysmith Volunteer Fire Company. And as I said to some of your staff colleagues earlier, I'm here tonight basically to deliver the mail. With that, I'd like to present to the clerk a copy of a letter that was should have reached the vice chairman and chairman regarding some concerns from the Ladysmith Volunteer Fire Company. And with that, I'll dispense for the rest of the...
I didn't get one. Did you mail it? Did you mail it to the county office or our home office? County office? 447 is the county. Okay. That's fine. Okay, we haven't gotten it. So we got it now. Thank you, Earl. Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding any matter that's not a public hearing or not related to the budget?
So if it's a budget matter, we have to wait till...
If it's a budget matter, you have to wait till the budget public hearing. I'm going to move that up quickly, though. It looks like we're doing a tango. So who's next? Ms. Lambert, how are you today?
I'm just fine.
Good. Don't forget to tell us your name and where you're from. What voting district, not where you're from. What
Karen
voting-
Lambert, Reedy Church District.
Thank you.
You all know I don't talk very well, so.
Take your time.
I'm here regarding proposed changes to the noise ordinance, specifically 68-8H. Some of you were on the board when the fair first came, and you gave us all assurances that there were provisions in place to protect us as best that you could. And one of those was the noise ordinance. I've already watched other things that you promised us change. And now you're taking the last bit of way that we can protect ourselves. We were told, just call the sheriff, he'll come out, use the noise meters. And now you're proposing to take that away. That, along with the other things that have been talked about, possibly changing the hours of music that we would have to listen to, it's just, I don't understand how you make assurances, but in a very short period of time, one by one, you are taking away everything that you promised us. Reedy Church did not want that entity there, but they're there, and I understand they have to make a living. But at the same time, they came there agreeing to certain proffers and certain conditions. If they find that they cannot abide by those, then they need to make changes and not have us continually giving up one by one our rights to live peacefully in our own homes and our own property. And like I say, this is a time when they're having a hard time even surviving, and I understand that. But times will improve for them, and they need to make those changes and survive with the promises, the proffers, and the conditions that you set forth originally. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Lambert.
Tammy Best, Port Royal. When you guys know us from the fireworks ordinance, we went through all this before, and our only resort for relief from those fireworks was noise ordinance. There's only one person in this county applying for a permit, and it states very clearly in the ordinance that he has to get a permit from the county administrator to do the break the noise ordinance. Now you want to let him just break the noise ordinance because he applies for a permit. How hard is it for one person to get 2 permits from this county? He already has to do everything 30 days in advance. And I shouldn't lose my last property right because you've already told me everyone in this county's got property rights. But I can't keep livestock on my property no more. I can't do organic gardening for sale on my property because of the toxic materials that fall out over my property, so it's useless. And now you want to take away the noise ordinance, so now I have to vacate my property and move my animals every time he does a fireworks show? And I know it's only 2 times a year, but that's a lot when you ask a person to vacate the property they own and pay county taxes on. It's just not right.
Thank you, Ms. Best. Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding a non-public hearing matter?
I would.
Yes, sir.
My name is Pete Jensen, and I'm mayor of the Reedy Church District. And as a neighbor of the Meta Farm, I've just learned within the last couple of weeks that the State Fair of Virginia is proposing to add a multiple-day music festival. A letter of invitation was from the State Fair, was delivered to a small handful of neighbors to inform of a meeting in regards to what they want to hold at the park. Others of us learned from a neighbor, Neil Parsons, that this meeting was taking place at the mansion over at the State Fair. We do appreciate Brian Ellsworth, who's the vice president of the State Fair, for his hospitality and allowing us to come in and to hear what they propose. But with that said, we have all moved out into that area because we like the quietness of the country life. I have written a petition and requested my neighbors to sign this. I've gotten 25 households to sign this petition. And in an area where there's not a whole lot more houses than that, that's a lot. There are, most people just do not want this multiple day music festival to be added to the State Fair's calendar. And we understand that the State Farm has now taken over full ownership of this, of the State Fair. And we're just, certainly we look forward that they are going to be good neighbors of ours and that they will see this as what we are. We're an agricultural community and that we have farms out there and we have a quiet community and that we just do not need any more than what's already been put on us with the State Fair. And if I may, I would like to read the petition letter that these neighbors have signed. As a neighbor of the State Fair, I'm very concerned that the State Fair would even consider having this type of activity. We understand the need of a business trying to attract more revenue. However, what the State Fair of Virginia is proposing with this concert event will affect us as neighbors. We're very concerned with the noise pollution, the alcohol and drug-related disturbances, and the traffic safety issues that this event will create. It has always been our understanding that the State Fair of Virginia would be promoting agricultural events, the State Fair, the Highland Games, the Strawberry Hill races, and the craft shows and other events. And I would urge you as the County Board of Supervisors not to allow them to have this event. Those of us who live here do so because we enjoy the quiet country life that attracted us to this area in the first place. Again, I urge you not to allow this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Do I just give this to you?
You can give it to Mr. Parton right there. That's Mr. Parton. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the public comment section? Not a budget or public hearing.
Yes, my name is Neil Parsons. I'm just down the road from the fair, and I wanted to point out something that is very important here. When the fair went in, since the fair went in, there have been a whole bunch of very fine houses built around in that area, all within sight of it. And these people went in with the zoning that was there at that point. So to change it on these people now, it seems to be quite unfair. Also, it's at a bowl, so the noise goes just up the hills in every way. And I want to leave these pictures. These are some of the houses that are just around the road, $400,000 houses. Now, it's highly likely that if this goes in, it's going to be difficult to sell these houses at the county assessed value. So any monies that might be gained from the concessions and such may very well be lost in real estate value in the taxes. So I just want to point that out because I think that's very important, because if this gets going on a regular basis, it's going to be very hard to sell these houses. And they're all within sight of it if you subtract the trees. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to give those to Mr. Parton also? Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Is there anyone else who would like to speak as part of the public comment section?
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Picken, and I'm a resident of downtown Paston, Virginia. I'm here to represent the Center Point Alps Tigner Hunt Club, Conservation Club, on the thing coming up on deer rifle hunting in Caroline County during general gun season. Our club, I've been authorized by the President to say, our 65 to 75 members are opposed to it. We like to keep Caroline County on normal shotgun season, as in the past, during the general firearm seasons, not rifle.
So you're opposed? Okay.
Opposed.
Normally we don't comment, but just to let you know, the person that requested rightful use actually came to us too late to get it in for this season. So it's definitely going to be still just shotguns for this season. We'll take your comments into advisement in the future.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the public comment section? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the public comment section? Anyone else who would like to speak on the public comment section? Hearing none, public comments are declared closed. Let's get right to the chase. We're going to not do number 5 just yet. Well, is Sandra Brown here? Sandra Brown here? Mr. Fincham? You're Sandra Brown?
I am not Sandra Brown.
You're representing Sandra Brown?
Representing Sandra Brown.
Okay, then if you'll just keep a seat, you're her attorney?
Architect.
I have a soft spot for architects. All right, Mr. Fincham, we're going to do number 5, then we're going to skip number 6, and then we're going to go to the budget public hearing. So Sandra Brown's representative will be here if you'd like to come forward to represent her. This is special exception agenda item number 5, special exception 11, 2012, Sandra Brown, owner applicant. Mr. Fincham.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your first public hearing tonight is SPEX 11-2012. Sandra Brown, owner and applicant, is requesting a special exception permit in accordance with Article 17, Section 13, and Article 4, Section 5.11 of the Caroline County Zoning Ordinance on tax map 102-A-37. The property is identified as 30,500 Richmond Turnpike in the Reedy Church voting district. The proposed use is an assisted living facility which falls under the adult home/nursing home designation. The 2030 comprehensive plan identifies this property as being located in the Dawn Community Planning Area and designated for planned development. The applicant is requesting the approval of a special exception permit to allow an assisted living facility in a building that was previously used for both a motel and most recently as a retirement home. The building has been vacant since 2006. The special exception request would be to reopen the former assisted living facility to house up to 24 aged or disabled patients. There would be staff on premises 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The applicant is a registered nurse and has previous experience working with and managing assisted living facilities. Her plans at this time are to renovate the existing buildings and grounds in accordance with the building code and social service regulations for this type of facility. You actually have a schematic of the proposed modifications to the building that staff handed out prior to the meeting. A number of the review agency comments are included in your staff report. VDOT has examined the request and determined that the existing entrances are adequate for the proposed use. The site is served by the public sewer system in Dawn and would be required to connect to that system. Additional capacity reservation would be required. The applicant has been in contact with the State Health Department concerning the drinking water requirements and the water supply requirements for that facility. Any regulations of the Department of Health would have to be addressed. Building officials noted in his review that the building is not compliant with the current Uniform Statewide Building Code and it would need significant upgrade. During the time this building is vacant, it has been subject to significant vandalism. The building official has noted his concerns about the integrity of the structure. If the special exception is approved, the applicant would have to get both site plan approval as well as building construction plan approval prior to any renovation of the structure. Planning Commission held its public hearing at its January 16th meeting. There were no public comments during the public hearing process. The Planning Commission did discuss a number of issues related to the application, both about the structure itself, the type of services that would be provided, and amenities for the inhabitants of the facility. Planning Commission voted 5-1 to recommend approval of SPEX 11-2012 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval subject to the 6 conditions that are contained in the staff report that would include a recommended 2-year review by the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Mr. Fincham. Board members at this time have any questions for Mr. Fincham?
Yeah. Mr. Fincham, what exactly are the structural issues this thing is dealing with? I mean, because it says in your major structural issues, you said vandalism.
I'm going to ask Mr. Whiteman to answer that question.
Yeah, the building has been, like Mr. Fincham said, empty for quite a few years. All the windows, doors, there were some vagrants at one time living in there. Roof collapsed, the back pump well house area that supplies the water for the facility is collapsed in some sort or another. There was plumbing in each individual room, all of that's gone. Just overall degradation of the property.
So all of this stuff before anyone, all of these issues would have to be, the applicant would have to fix all of these issues before anyone could be moved in?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And if it's approved, then an RDP, registered design professional, which this gentleman was an architect or an engineer, will have to do an evaluation from the footer up and then supply plans if it can be rehabilitated, or if not, what needs to be repaired.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
No other questions? No questions for Mr. Fincham? Just Mr. Fincham? Okay. All righty. At this point, we will open the public hearing, and without knowing your name, sir, as the architect or Ms. Brown's representative, we'll allow you the first 3-minute presentation if you like. So we'll declare the public hearing to be open for special exception 11-2012. Please state your name and where you're from would be good.
My name is William Henry Harris. I'm an architect from Richmond, Virginia.
Harris?
Harris.
Not Harrison?
Not Harrison, no.
Okay. I did remember that was a president. Okay. Mr. Harris?
And I am here to represent Mrs. Brown in the assisted living facility. Our work so far has been to indicate the repairs and in a schematic fashion that she would be required to make, and we feel like we have come up with a plan that would deal with all of the issues that she's facing. So it's, I think, pretty straightforward. We'll be putting on a new roof system, checking out all the plumbing, the mechanical, electrical, providing new systems in those regards, and making it a usable facility for assisted living in the county. Okay. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. If you'll have a seat, we're going to finish seeing if there are any comments, and after the comments, we'll be happy to ask you questions. Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone else who would like to speak regarding this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is declared closed. Questions of Mr. Fincham or the applicant at this time? Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Chairman, based on the findings by the county officials, particularly Mr. Whiteman, it's clear to me that this property is going to have to be brought up to specs. So I think that's the purpose of what we do in the county. So if a person is willing to spend whatever amount of money is necessary to bring this property up to code, I see no reason why we should stand in the way.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Seeley?
Mr. Fincham, here's my question. If this is 1.58 acres or so.
Yes, sir.
A drain field has to go in here, and from what I read, a community well based on the number of...
No, they're on the Dawn system.
Yeah. The health department comments did speak to on-site sewage disposal. The property is actually served by the Dawn wastewater system.
Okay.
And as such, it would be required to connect to that system.
Okay. They still have to do a community well, correct?
Yes, sir. They still would have to drill a well and meet VDH requirements for water supply, as well as building code requirements for fire suppression.
If we approve this as presented, can this facility be anything else with the rezoning if this is too expensive to turn into this project?
It's a special exception we're doing, not a rezoning. So if they don't do what they're saying they're doing now, they lose their special exception.
Okay, I forgot. I, for some reason, thought this was a rezoning.
And that would be true for a rezoning. You're exactly right. But special exception, if it's not, we pull it right away.
The special exception application is for the assisted living facility only. No other special exception uses have been applied for, nor would be granted if you approve this special exception request.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Motion would be in order? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Taylor.
The 2-year review. The board at the end of 2 years would review the special exception?
Yes, sir.
To make certain that things are in place, and if
Yes,
they're
sir.
not at that time,
Yes, sir.
you could then revoke that special exception.
If there are outstanding issues related to the conditions, or you felt that additional conditions were necessary, it affords the opportunity for the board to review the status, and if necessary, go forward with amending the special exception permit. Yes, sir.
That's all I heard.
And Mr. Fincham, just for the sake of all those who don't know, the difference between review and renewal that we normally put on a special exception would be, well, you already said what review was.
A review is a situation where an approved SE comes back to the board, again, for the review of those conditions. A renewal of a special exception permit means that the applicant must come back through the process again and apply for, to allow that special exception use to continue.
Okay. Review is less stringent, but still an administrative action takes place. Okay. Any more questions? Mr. Underwood.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we would grant special exception 11-2012 with the recommendations by the Planning Commission to ensure those are in place.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Underwood, seconded by Mr. Akers for the approval of special exception 11-2012. Discussion. With the conditions, with the 6 conditions actually included in the report.
Correct.
All those, discussion on the motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. We're going to go right from here to the budget. With all deference to the text amendments, we're going to skip those. And we're going to skip the tourism zone. I really want to skip 8 too, but I'm going to vote against that. I don't care when it comes up. We're going to skip 8 for now. We're going to go to 9, which is the county administrator's proposed fiscal budget. We're going to do 10, which is the proposed tax rate. There will be public hearings on both of those if you would like. I'm going to give Mr. Cully 5 minutes to set up his PowerPoint. And since we're going to be here a long time, I think we should make use of those 5 minutes. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. County administrator to present his budget, and then we will have a public hearing. Let me remind you again, this is the county administrator's proposed budget, which was prepared about a month ago.
About 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago. So we've got quite a bit of additional information. We've also gone through the budget a couple of times and cut a few things out. We're also trying, and I'm going to speak for the board, we're trying to not have a tax increase, period. For real estate, definitely. We're trying to go from there. Mr. Cully, I will let you go, and then we will open the public hearing. When I open the public hearing, people will be allowed to speak maximum of 3 minutes, and it will, of course, be cordial. Mr. Cully.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is partially some of the same slides that we used through our work session to present to you the budget as we prepared the FY14 budget, which the process for that starts in November, and then we were working on the final numbers in late January to give this to you in early February. So while it seems that some of it may be outdated, as you heard earlier tonight with new numbers from the Commissioner of Revenue, there will be things that you will do and that we will recommend, but we will go through what we presented, what was advertised in the paper, and then we can certainly talk about some of the changes, if you like, that were recommended at the last work session, but I haven't really included those yet because we haven't finalized those things. The overview of the FY14 budget. The FY14 proposed revenue with no change in tax rates and the personal property reduced 25%, which is what we were working with in January, leaves a revenue of $38,783,959. The FY14 proposed expenditures for the general fund, $42,424,590, leaves a budget shortfall of $3,640,631. And so that was the number we were working for as we worked our way through the budget. Revenue needed to balance the budget. I'm sorry, some of this is a little hard to read. 1 cent on real estate tax rate generates $247,567. The 5 cent that we proposed provided $1,237,835 in revenue. 1 cent on the personal property rate, based on the rates that we were working with, was $22,328. The 80 cents that we proposed generated $1,786,286, and that was less than the equalized rate from the current FY13 rate of $3.50, and that was based on a 25% reduction in value. We proposed to draw from the fund balance. Each 1% of the general fund operating budget in the fund balance is $424,246, so we were proposing to use 1.45%, or $616,510 from the general fund unencumbered balance. The total revenue needed to balance the shortfall, as we mentioned on the previous slide, $3,640,631. The expenditure increases, and that's what most people want to see, what went up in the budget. The FY13 adopted budget was $40,038,731. We believe we have mandatory expenditure increases of $1,404,165, and I'll go through those on the next slide. We have other expenditures which net out to about $981,694 for a total proposed budget for 14 of $42,424,590. There again, the proposed revenue with no tax increases is $38,783,959, or your shortfall of $3,640,631. The mandatory expenditures. First one, transfer to debt service on the existing debt. Our existing debt service payments are going up by $547,660. Transfer to CSA, $135,658. That's comprehensive services for youth and families. That's a mandatory program we run required by the state. Increased health insurance cost already approved by the board, $238,913. Regional jail costs, $168,607. And these are increases. This is not the total due. These are just increases over FY13. Actuarial study, $5,287. Positions that were hired in this current year but not currently budgeted for proration of personal property taxes, $71,797. Transfer to cover utility debt service that are increasing, $91,612. Transfer to utilities required for the operation of the new wastewater treatment plant, which is about $245,778, which decreases available operating funds for debt service by the amount of $144,778. $631 for a grand total of mandatory FY14 increases in expenditures of $1,404,165. What are some of the other increases in the budget? First off, we have a decrease in transfer to fund balance of $502,353 that we put in FY13. We also have a decrease in transfer to VRA debt reserve of $502,539. We have some decreased RAND cost of about $48,000 and a decrease to transfer to utilities for Bowling Green PK5 availability fee of $46,000. We have increases. We proposed a salary increase 3% increase except for social services. This will be the first increase in 5 years for county employees. The cost of that's $322,398. Increase in repairs to fire and rescue vehicles and equipment. We do have some trucks that are continuing to age. One in Port Royal is 29 years old. That's $59,000 in increased repairs for fire and rescue vehicles as they get older and older on the road. Full year of utility directors about $15,547. Half a year utility superintendent to public works admin is a transfer of where those show up, $48,217. Increase in building utility cost, electric, heating, oil, water, and sewer, $55,883. Transfer to schools, $451,110. Transfer to debt service, new debt, $115,587. Those are vehicles. Transfer to utilities, new well development, $250,000. Transfer to social services, $74,412. That's 2 new full-time social workers. Transfer to the Don sewer system, $47,602. HR manager from part-time to full-time, $26,568. General reassessment, $203,173. Part-time money for part-time Commonwealth attorney position, $37,856. Transfer for additional school buses, the lease on additional 10 school buses, $103,207. Motor vehicle equipment for a sheriff's officer, which to outfit 10 new police cars, $35,856. Protective clothing for fire and rescue, and this is for about 4 added 4 volunteers per month that we seem to be averaging, and new clothing for those. Cooperative extension 4-H agent in the school, $24,723, and the rest are basically cumulative increases and decreases that we didn't individually list. And as from the work session, we're working on those for you, but that's going to be multiples of pages because a lot of those are just little 4,000 up and 4,000 down type of things. For a total of FY14 proposed expenditures, the other expenditures over and above the mandatory ones of $981,694. Proposed local funds for schools. The proposed budget includes local funds combined with state funds for a 3% raise for all school employees as follows. Local funds transferred to the school operating fund of $451,110. Proposed state funds for a 2% raise included from the state, $264,000. Savings from eliminating reimbursement for school resource officers. And I proposed $152,890. The real number is $119,000. Which we need to adjust to $451,000, but we had intended for a 3% raise, which works out to $868,000, which is needed for that 3% raise. Proposed local funds for school new buses, $103,270. New local funds for raises is about $604,000 if you include the money that was there for the resource officers that we moved into the regular general fund budget. So a total new funds for school uses of about $707,207. As we had earlier in the night, and I mentioned to the chairman, I did have some slides on personal property that hopefully will help the general public understand where we've been and lay it out where we can actually kind of follow along. Not that the commissioner didn't do that, but just to kind of go back through so we don't have confusion on where we were. For a number of years, personal property was valued using clean retail value at 50%. For calendar year 2011, the tax rate was $6.25 per $100 of assessed value on that clean retail value. For calendar year 2012, the ratio was changed to 100%, still at clean retail value. Also for calendar year 2012, the tax rate was lowered to $3.50 per $100 assessed value. This resulted in a slight tax increase from $3.12 to $3.50 per 100, or a 38-cent increase in the tax rate. Also, the vehicle license fee was added or included with the personal property tax bill for the first time. And I'm not going to go through this little chart that we worked on, and we're going to update this chart for the board with the new values that the Commissioner just gave us tonight. Personal property for calendar year 13, the values will be based off 100% clean trade instead of 100% clean retail. As of tonight, this change has resulted in an approximate 8% reduction in overall values in personal property instead of the expected 25% reduction included in the proposed budget. In order to collect the same revenue from personal property in calendar year 2013, the rate must be adjusted upward. The proposed budget recommends an 80-cent increase to the tax rate to $4.30 per 100 assessed value based on the 25% reduction in value. The Commissioner now recommends only, she recommended 30 cents, I'm recommending 29-cent increase to $3.79 per 100 based on an updated values to equalize. I'm just a little bit lower, she's just a little bit over what we collected last year. I'm not going to go through all of this chart as I did in the work session either, but it is interesting to see what 1 penny on the tax rate does. If you have a $50,000 home, it's $5. If you have a $100,000 home, it's $10. As you work your way on up, 125 is $12.50, 150 is $15, $200,000 home, it's $20, $300,000 home, $30, and $1 million home, $100 for every penny that the tax rate were to go up. So just to give you an idea of what we're talking about on the average house, I think we talked about was around 165 at budget time. Is that number you all remember? So 175 is just a little bit high. It's about $17.50 per penny on the average home in Caroline County. Sequestration impact on federally subsidized bond payments. Due to the automatic spending cuts and the sequester that went into effect on Friday, March 1st of 2013, federally subsidized bond payments will be cut by $171 million, according to the Office of Management and Budget. This includes Build America bonds, Qualified Zone Academy bonds, Qualified School Construction bonds, and Qualified Energy Conservation bonds. Of those, we have a couple. Caroline will see the following reductions in FY13. School loans approximately $13,870, a library loan of $502, and the wastewater treatment plant loan about $16,380.94. Caroline will possibly see the following reductions for FY14. We do not have the final numbers from the federal government yet. School loans approximately $27,116. The library loan about $1,000, $1,004, and the big one is the wastewater treatment plant loan will probably be about $32,761.88. This amount totals to $60,882 of less revenue for FY14 budget than what I showed you at the very beginning, and we didn't have these numbers when the budget was prepared. This takes really the mandatory FY14 expenditures from $1,404,165 to really $1,465,047 because we'll have to make up those debt payments from general fund dollars that were coming from the federal government. So as a review, the adopted budget in FY13 was $40,038,731. We believe we have mandatory expenditure increases of $1,465,000 or $404,165, depending on that what happens to us with the loss of federal funds. Other expenditures we have in the budget that can be cut, and we've already talked about cutting about $600,000 of those dollars, $981,694, or if you take the $600 off, we're down to about $381. Total proposed FY14 budget of $42,424,590, and the proposed revenue with no tax increased $783,959. Get tongue-tied on the last number. Some of that proposed revenue is much better due to the fact that we didn't take a 25% reduction in personal property. But in that I just got that today. I have not been able to rework all these slides this afternoon, but we will have all that prepared for you for the Thursday night budget work session. So with that, I am prepared to sit down, and ma'am, you can cut the light on. Oh.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cully. We can turn the lights back on. I was asking Mr. Emerson, since they're all tied together, if we could do the budget public hearing and the tax rate public hearing at the same time. He said no. So, again, that was Mr. Cully's preliminary budget or proposed budget. And as you can see from the Commissioner Revenue conversation, things look a little different. But we will now open the public hearing on the budget. And anybody, Mrs. Green, if you would like to come forward